I like working with a range of different materials, not only materials as in fabric, but you would have seen some of my work in terms of painting. So on this particular piece I've got painted fabric, I'm using beading, I sculpt, and I like bringing in different elements to a piece. So this particular piece has it's all come about, it's grown over time. So I work on several pieces and I then take, say, one of them a bit further, and so this is in the midst of being taken further. So this particular material is from a dress. It was one of my favourites, and over time the fabric becomes vintage, for want of a better word. So I had made this, I'd painted this separately, and then over the last few weeks I've kind of been adding to it, and it's just a small piece, as you can see, but I had altered the dress, and then this was scrap left over, so it's just been sitting there. So I wondered what I could do with it, and this piece got to this particular stage with the beading, and I collect beads. I've got millions, I guess, of beads, and this is just a small selection of my seed beads. And so with the seed beads you need extra fine needles with extra fine points, and by accident with my thread, this is vintage thread, it's over kind of like, it must be over 40 years old. My dad used to use it, and he had one of those old Singer sewing machines, which I gave it away. I gave it to charity, and it was just like, years later I then became interested in sewing. It was just like, oh, that would have been perfect. And I think it had like a foot pedal. It was just, and I have to stop thinking about it. Anyway, by accident I tried to thread one of these fine seed bead needles with this thread, and it split into 3. And I took one of the strands, and the strands of this thread is really strong, so I've been using that. So it's very fine in itself, but as I say, it's 3-ply, if that's the right term. So so it means now that I've got a really strong thread for my seed beading. And what I want to show you, what I want to work on today, is these mini, they're going to be fabric beads that I'm thinking of attaching in some way to this, either as hanging or I'm not sure, but I want to bring in the element of the burlap as well as the seed beads, and we'll see how we go. The fabric beads are made from the plastic drinking straws, and what you do is just you wrap it in whatever the base material you want. I just happen to use this, and then cut it into 4 pieces like so, and so I'm going to be working on those. But to get it to this stage, I cut strips of this material and then wrapped this to get this size, and then finished it off with the burlap. So what I'm going to do now is add some of the beads. So I'm just going to do a few stitches to get the thread on there, and I don't particularly want the thread to be seen, so that gets it on. I mean, the thread will be seen, but I mean, it's no issue if it is. Alright, so we've got it on there. I'll come in a bit so you can maybe see. So I'm literally just gonna It's a selection of colours, the main colour being the lilac purple, and then you've got some small crystals that are made into beads. So they've got holes in them, and every now and again I will pick up one. So my thoughts for these particular beads, fabric beads, is that they have they're wrapped in these colourful beads, and they're going to look really pretty. Now the other thing you can add to these is buttons and things like that. Right, so this is how I attach it. So I put a few on the length, and then I wrap it where I want it, wherever you want it to go, and then I stitch at the top of that point because I don't want it to be loose. And then I just there, so I won't have to necessarily go over, and I mean I can if I want, and put a piece of thread across there. So I'm literally, so it didn't really like that for some reason. So I'm gonna go again with some more beads. There's a way that I normally put them on. Maybe do that technique as well. It just makes it easier to get beads on. So we just put a few. I don't need too many of the large beads, so I maybe put about 4 or 5 on. Okay, so I'm going to remove some of these so I can do the technique of adding the beads on the needle. So there's a mixture of the lilac and black greeny kind of beads. Okay, so one of the ways, don't want to lose any, one of the ways I do it is to, oh, it's not going to work with these. I think there needs to be more beads in there. And basically, you just keep running this through, and what happens is at some point, let me put some more in, because it does save a bit of time. Okay. I think I would normally use a smaller. Oops. It's not going to work. It's the wrong container. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Basically, you just keep doing that, and the beads attach themselves to the needle. But this is causing you to. And as long as you don't put too many beads on, as I said, you won't have to then go over this. But, Okay, so I'm going to use different size beads now. As you saw, the thread, the needle broke, and it just meant that it was getting quite compact in there, so it couldn't take it anymore. So I've got these other beads here, and I've got a different size needle, so I'm going to just do single beads with this particular one.